What's going on, True Soldiers? It's Lil Bradford here, aka King Truth and True Soldiers Education. And today we're going to be speaking on transformations of perceptions. Excuse the lighting. I know it's a bit dim. I got lighting issues going on, but we're going to persist and continue on anyways. Transformation of perceptions. If you look at your destiny and your reality, that all begins with your perception of things. Your perception in turn relates to your reality and helps determine your destiny. If you look at the organization of human life and the systems of communication, as you continue to live on, your systems of communication extends and your organization prevails as you live life and age. Just as if you look at a plant and it assimilates the nutrients from the soil below and the rays from the sun above and grows as if it like a fern, and it grows and extends. Just as you live your life, your organization prevails and your systems of communication extends throughout your journey of life. There's a few ways you can look at the conquest of nature. If you take it serious, you can see it's something like a warfare between order and chaos, good and evil, light and darkness. It's like a warfare. Some may say, good must prevail over evil. Order must prevail over chaos or randomness. But I want you to challenge that perception and look at it from the perspective of, from a different view of lightness goes with darkness. Let me explain. If you look at this semi-popular diaphragm here, this optical illusion, whatever you want to call it, what do you see? You may see here and here are two faces in the white background, in the white, and in the black you may see a vase or a cup. You can't see them simultaneously. You can't see the faces and the vase at the same time. You can rapidly go back and forth between the faces and the vase, but it's impossible to see and perceive them at the same time. So, if you're looking at life and the conquest of nature as order must prevail over chaos, goodness must eat up evil, the lightness must shine and take over the darkness, you're leaving out something. There's a Sanskrit word called avidya, spelled Avidya, meaning non, and vidya meaning knowing or ignorance. It can be translated as ignorance, or better yet, ignorance. You have to, when you look at the two, they're necessary to each other. Without the black background, you wouldn't be able to identify with the white faces, or vice versa. Without the white background, you would not be able to identify with the black vase. So they're necessary to each other. Just as in life, you identify with the subject, what you see around you. You identify with that subject and not what you see. You have to be able to relate and tie what your vision and perspective is back into an image behind your eyes and your mind, which holds the idea and concepts of what that image is that you see and perceive. That's to say, nothing is seen if there's no experience of the seer, or vice versa. If there's no seer, there be nothing seen. That leads us in to what the Oriental culture calls, or let me back up. You can also see that vision here, your perception. It begins with your perception. You can either see a young lady with her face facing this way and a bonnet on her hair with a feather, or you can see an old lady with a chin here, a rather large nose here, and her eyes. You can take a look at that. With her bonnet here and her hair here as well. Like I said, you can't see them simultaneously. You can't perceive them simultaneously, but you can rapidly go back and forth between the two. So that'll lead us into, like I say, what the Oriental culture calls Sanya, spelled Sunya. That means goes together or goes with. It's a philosophy or another way of perceiving things, saying goes with, or is often, Sanya is often translated into English as void. If you look here, if you have a circle or a square, you can't have the inside of the circle without having the outside of the circle. Or if you look at this black background and this white background, you can't have the white square without the outside of the black background. The inside of this would be void without the outside. So it goes with. So it's two ways to perceive the conquest of nature. You can look at it as if order must prevail over chaos, Or you can say order is necessary, or chaos is necessary for there to be order. For there to be light, there must be darkness. It goes with one another. They're necessary. In order to identify the subject, you have to tie it back to opposites. That'll bring us in to our next idea. Big idea is a familiar image here of the yin and yang, or positive and negative, however you may have it. You can look at it as, I'm trying to create a motion where you can see it as the white fish here, or the black fish here. The white fish trying to eat the dark fish, the good, the positive trying to eat and take over the negative, the black fish. That's one way of perceiving it. Or you can perceive it as they go with each other. Just as if you may have man trying to overcome the darkness of nature. But that's not the case. The whitefish is not trying to take over the blackfish, because what would happen if this good took over the evil, this white took over the black? There would be no whiteness, because you will have nothing to contrast to the white for it to be visible, for it to be seen. So once this whitefish and blackfish realizes that this is not a contest, they'll become awakened, which can be thought of as enlightened, or in Asian culture, what they call nirvana, or in Zen, what they call satori. Once they reach this awakening and this realization, a profound transition happens. A profound transformation happens. And it's no longer order prevailing over chaos. It becomes, it's not a contest. It becomes a dance, or a game, if you will. If those two are swirling, they're dancing, they're going back and forth, because they realize they're mutually necessary to one and another. Just like with the two faces about to kiss each other and the vase, without that background of I want to make sure you have the image clearly. Excuse me. Without the black background, there would be no white face, and vice versa. So a profound realization comes when you reach awakening and you realize it's not a contest of life and death, good and evil, chaos and order, and lightness and darkness. It's not a contest. It's more like a dance, a game. They're necessary for each other. They're not fighting. So, if you think about some of the beautiful things we have in nature and the forms of patterns we have, you can look at it from different ways. You can see here either a method for attack and defense, devices of patterns for camouflage, or simply lures for sexual attraction. You can look at it that way. Or you can take your perception of it and perceive it as a dance or a joyous cosmology. It all begins with your perception. It can be those utilitarian devices, like utilitarian devices like camouflage and sexual allures, or it can be perceived as a dance or a joyous cosmology. The way you perceive it helps determine your destiny. Your perception becomes your reality. What you think is what you become. So, think about this. When you look at this and you continue to stare at it, you can see a different perception. You perceive those images and identify with the subject and what you see differently. What if you continue to stare and observe yourself? All those negative, pessimistic views you have of yourself, you became content with the way you see yourself. But what if you continue to stare at yourself? What else would you see? If you continue to stare at your child, what else would you see? If you continue to stare at your spouse, if you continue to stare at your talent, what else would you see? Somebody else could take your hand and win with it. What do they see in your hand that you don't see? Or better yet, what do they see in you that you don't see? It's about your perception. It begins with your perception, which in turn helps create your behavior. You can find confidence on how you perceive things. Your behavior determines your character. Your character determines your actions. Your actions determine your reality, which in the future is your destiny. So, how do you perceive yourself? Is it this way? Is it that way? Have you took time to get the KYOS, the knowledge of self? Have you took time to look and observe the chaos, to see the order in it? Which goes back to where we began with this conversation. The organization of human life, the systems of communication, they extend as you go along the journey of your life. The way you perceive things helps determine your reality, which in turn is your destiny. So transform your perceptions. Thanks, true soldiers, for listening, watching, and starting the transformational process of your perceptions. It'll begin moment to moment to moment. And throughout those moments, I hope you're continuing to create your beautiful, worthy life that you're living day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, to create the good lifetime. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see you next on the next video.